flavorful beef birria made in the Instant Pot in just half of the time needed. Hi guys, I'm Renee Fuentes and welcome back to my channel, Thai Caliente. Today I'm gonna share a recipe for birria, except we're gonna make it in the Instant Pot. So everything's gonna be the same. We're just gonna cut down on the cooking time. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you can also do this on the stove. Just keep in mind it will take a little bit longer. Once our birria is done, we're gonna use that flavorful meat and I'm gonna show you how to make some QuesaBirria Tacos. All right, you guys, this one is super yummy, so let's get started.
So we're gonna start by making the sauce for the birria. I'm using dry chiles, that's a guajillo and an ancho. So we can get most of these at a grocery store, but definitely a Latin or Mexican market will have them. You can also use California chiles as well. Go ahead and remove the stem and shake out as much of the seeds as you can. We are gonna strain the sauce later, so if you don't get all the seeds out, don't worry about it. But this way it makes it a little bit easier. Then go ahead and place them in a small pot, cover it up with water, and then we're gonna boil it for about 5 minutes so the chiles can soften, and just set them aside while we prepare the beef. So I'm using some beef bones. Sometimes you can get them from your butcher. Another option is to use a couple short ribs or chamorro de res, which is beef shank. And then this big cut of meat is chuck roast. It's just a little under 3 pounds. I'm seasoning it liberally with some salt and pepper. You want to make sure you season each piece so that way it definitely develops flavor while you're making the birria. So flip it over, season it again, and then we're going to proceed with making the sauce. So I'm also going to be adding some aroma tomatoes in the sauce. This is how my mother-in-law makes it. Some garlic cloves. Oops, I lost one. I have about 4 garlic cloves. And then these are the spice mix. So I have some bay leaves. I'm actually going to leave one out and put one into the blender as soon as my camera focuses. And then I have 1 cinnamon stick that I just broke in half. And then the other seasoning is oregano, cumin seeds, whole clove. I'm adding about ½ teaspoon of each spice and go ahead and add all that to the blender. So the chiles have been rehydrated, so just remove them with tongs or a slotted spoon. Add some salt, and then I'm adding 1 cup of fresh water, so not the water that the chiles were boiling in. Give that a blend until the sauce is nice and smooth, and then you want to taste it to make sure there's enough seasoning. If you need to add more salt, this is when you would do so. Remember, this is going to be what the birria cooks in, so you want to make sure it has good flavor. That was perfect. So now we're going to sear our chuck roast in the Instant Pot. I have it on saute on high, and I let it heat up until you can see here the oil is nice and hot. Sear each piece. You're gonna have to do this in batches, that way the Instant Pot doesn't overcrowd. But you want to get kind of a nice crust on each piece of chuck roast. And once all the pieces of chuck roast have been seared, go ahead and turn off the Instant Pot and add the remaining beef pieces back in. I'm just trying to create it so that way they are in an even layer for better cooking. If you know it's not completely in one layer, that's fine. And then I'm adding my beef bones on top. I'm putting a strainer right over the Instant Pot and adding that beautiful birria sauce that we just blended, and use a small spatula or spoon and just kind of keep working it and pressing the sauce down. This is what you're going to end up with, which is some of the seeds and dried chiles. Go ahead and remove that. Now we're going to add 1 cup of water. Start with 1 cup, and you want to make sure it covers all the meat. So I'm just kind of moving everything around, and if there's any pieces of meat stuck to the bottom, you can scrape that up. So this isn't fully covered, so I'm actually going to end up adding another cup of water because you want to make sure all that beef is submerged with liquid, and that right here looks perfect. It's okay if the bones aren't covered. Mainly we just want to make sure the meat. So add that other bay leaf that we saved. Make sure your valve is to sealing. So right here is sealing, down is venting. So make sure it's on sealing. And this is about 3 pounds of chuck roast. So I'm going to set my timer for 50 minutes. If you're doing a bigger chuck roast, then you're gonna need more time. So go ahead and check the description for those times. So while that is cooking, I'm gonna be shredding some Oaxaca cheese. You can also do Monterey Jack cheese is another good one. Sorry, I should mention this is for the QuesaBirria tacos that we're gonna be making with the birria. So go ahead and shred all of your cheese and set that aside. And once the meat is done, you wanna let the steam release in a open area. I usually do it over my kitchen hood and carefully move that valve to venting. And you guys, the meat is just literally falling apart. So I'm gonna remove all of the beef along with the bones, and do not touch the liquid. We are going to be using that. And you can see here, I'm just barely grabbing it and it's just shredding just so easily. You can go in with a knife to chop it up even more fine, or 2 forks, but you guys, it is incredibly tender. Okay, so let's do those quesadilla tacos. I have white corn tortillas. These are just store-bought. The broth is still a little bit warm, which makes it perfect. And I have my skillet or comal really hot. So go ahead and dip the tortilla, add your cheese. You can see the tortilla is kind of already cooking and bubbling. Add a good amount of cheese to cover the whole tortilla, and then some birria to cover one side. And then we're gonna fold it over to make a quesadilla, or kind of like a crispy taco. So I'm adding a little bit more of the broth or consommé into the quesabirria taco. And then I should have used a spatula, which I switched to. So don't use your tongs like I did, but go ahead and let that cook for a couple minutes until it starts getting nice and crispy. While that taco's cooking, you can make another one and just keep going until everything is completed. So you can see on this tortilla, I actually didn't get enough consommé or broth on the other side of the tortilla, which is totally fine. So here I switched to a spatula and I am flipping that over, and you can see it's getting a nice crust on it, and you can see how hot my skillet is. So once I add the meat, if there's not enough broth on the tortilla, just go ahead and add a little bit more with a spoon. And trust me, you guys, these are so delicious. Go ahead and fold it over, press it down to create a nice seal. And once they kind of get some crispiness on the side of tortilla, they are ready to go. So I'm just gonna finish assembling these. All right, the best part is finally here. So you can either open the tacos up carefully and add some chopped onion and cilantro, or you can just kind of put them on top as a garnish. Either way, it's perfect. You can also do some chile de árbol salsa for some spice, but guys, look at this. These tacos are delicious. I cannot wait for you to try them.
The quesabirria tacos turn out so cheesy and crispy, and they are just so delicious. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave me any comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.